Hello everyone and welcome to a new IK video. This is Ken from 49, and in this video guys I'm gonna talk about my favorite march that I used this entire KPK. It's definitely not my mixed march. I used it the most. However, my favorite march that I used in this round was the mixed Slayer march that I made a video about few days before we get the gates open. However, I made some changes into the march. So I'm gonna show you some reports where I used this march against a lot of mixed marches, and the win percentage was definitely 100% when I figured out the right skills that I need to use against these specific mixed marches. So this is the march I'm using, which is Ilcid, Charles, Jenkins, Cleopatra, and I'm gonna show you the skills. However, I need to explain exactly how it works. So I explained already how Ilcid works in a lot of my previous videos. So I'm using the front line as two defense immortals to tank the physical damage coming from Alex and Hani. And in the back line, I'm using Cleopatra mainly for damage with Annihilation, Chase, and Death Breath. And I'm using Jenkins to deny all the heals that is coming from Zenobia and Berserk. Of course, you can see that there's a lot of heals usually coming for the mixed march. You can see that most of the heals on Alex here because Alex have dual master. So usually wounds doesn't work on Alex. However, you can see that the build I'm using is physical shield, fighting master, just to make sure that Elsa gets to cast his skill all the time, and his skill lasts for 12 seconds. And I'm using life link, and you can see here that the damage coming from Alex was completely denied. 3 million damage through life link, and even less than this amount from the other skills. All right, this was in a defense because I have a level 9 Iron Body, and this is in an attack. However, this was a terrible position for my march here. You can see here in this round, also dealt a lot of damage, and Cleo dealt a lot of damage as well, Jenkins as well. However, this was a terrible position for me. In the right position, this is how it should look like. Elcid should be facing Alex all the time because Elcid is the only immortal who can tank Alex. You need to keep Cleopatra away from Hannibal Barca's cleaves damage because Hannibal does a lot of damage from his cleave skill, his cleave ultimate skill, which is Howling Blast, and of course the cleave buff that he gets from Emperor. This was a Shadow March and a Mixed March. I almost won this one, however, the time ran out. And you can see that the damage coming from El Cid, 14 million damage, 10 million damage from Conquest alone. I'm gonna show you the build just a second. There's a few more reports that I wanted to show. For example, this guy here, he's using a toxin barrier on his Alex. I couldn't defeat him with my mixed march at all. I had zero chance beating him using my mixed march. This is why I switched it into my other mixed march that I don't have a name for yet. Maybe Earth Lightning, I don't know. However, you can see the results here are completely different when it comes to attack or defense. I mean, it's better in defense, but in attack, it is kind of decent as well. So the skills I'm using for the auras, I'm using Sacrifice on Charles. Make sure to use it on Charles because Charles doesn't usually deal that much damage. And I'm using Weakness on Jenkins because Cleo is mainly the main damage on this march. So this is why I'm using Weakness. And I'm using Chase, Death Breath. I used to use Annihilation. However, I got Spell Disintegrator recently. So if you have Spell Disintegrator, it's going to be so much better than Annihilation. And of course, I'm using a crit rate artifact on Cleo. For the defensive skills I'm using, of course, I'm using Oaken Guard, reducing physical damage for 3 random units by 50%. I'm using Defense Blessing, one of the most important defensive skills that you could use against a mixed march. And of course, Life Link, Fighting Master, and Physical Shield. The only reason I'm using Rage Blessing on this march because I just need to match the speed that is coming from the mixed march. This is why I need my immortals to cast their kills as fast as possible to counter the damages coming from the mixed mode. For example, if Ilcid managed to cast his skill in the early game and Charles managed to cast his skill, it's gonna be so much easier for me to defend against the damages coming from Alex and Hani and deal so much damage as well using these skills that I'm using. Anyway, this is the march. If you would like to take a screenshot, it's so easy to make this march, especially if you're in an old server like Conquest servers. And it is so effective, as I showed you in the reports against mixed marches, which is the most popular march in IK at the moment, or in Conquest servers at least. Alright, this will be all for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and have a wonderful day.